Hi, I'm Barry John. Welcome back to Descent. I have a co-pilot and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Ethatha.
And we are now at the next outer planet. Only two, oh god. Sorry, I'm crap. Okay. This opening room is a pain and a three to deal with because it's all these tight corridors. There's Vulcan cannon enemies right in the front, and there are multiple enemy spawners that throw out those military grade robots that triple shoot lasers. So,
Yeah, they
oh,
certainly waste no time getting into it. At least they give you the cloak to
no.
start with.
Mm-hmm. Now, I just glanced at the level there, making sure I had orientation, but I just wanted to point out this level has four entrances to it. Four entrance doors, and the idea is that, well, back. Do you remember how to play co-op games? Descent with co-op.
I never tried it myself, but yeah, I've played similar games.
All right. Well, Descent co-op was. Sorry, I have to do this. There's there were two enemies lined up perfectly, but Descent co-op and Descent multiplayer was optimized for four players. And in this particular level, they actually showed off having four spawn points so that when you started this level in co-op, every player had their own unique spawning. Oh, ouch! Had their own unique spawning room or spawn area.
Oh, nice.
And yes, that room is a dead end.
Yeah, so you end up with some odd situations in single player then.
If you're basically if you were playing multiplayer with only one entrance, everybody would be stacked up on top of each other to start with, and the first little bit would be a case of, okay, guys, how do we get out of here without triggering collision damage? Alright, I for one am glad for all these shield drops that are coming around here, because this level is very difficult on occasion. I can't believe I missed with like all my laser shots.
Certainly wasn't the easiest target to hit, given that they start strafing instead of just sitting there.
Well, I mean, I've mentioned this before, but this game is at its strongest not as a corridor shooter and not with the giant gargantuan open rooms, but when you've got these nice mid-sized rooms where you and the enemies can jockey for position and you're trying to trade blows and shoot at each other, that's where this game is strongest.
Yeah. I think it was Descent 2 was where they introduced friendly fire between the bots and they'd aggro on each other.
Possibly, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. Alright, just plotting out where I need to go, because all these tiny little corridors have 2 or 3 or 17 of these guys in them, and come on. Sorry, I'm just multitasking here, trying to talk about the level ahead and dealing with, post commentary can be hard, guys, especially when the levels don't exactly have a lot to talk about beyond, fancy geometry.
And looking at mistakes that past year was made that you can't change.
I mean, I've only got room for... The game only handles 10 save files, so...
Yeah, it's always a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. So I can only go back so far if I ever need to replay things.
Looks like that one gave you a bit of a fright.
Yep. But here I am just bouncing around like a madman trying to figure out where the heck this guy was hiding. Invulnerability power-up. Just what I'm never going to use. Mostly because it's in such an awkward spot, that invulnerability power-up, that I never really, have an enemy worth pulling it out on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a distance away from the rest of the level now.
Mm-hmm. And all these long corridors that backtrack on each other. I've talked about creator signatures before when it comes to game design or level design, and like there was a level designer whose signature was open rooms with long corridors, long twisty corridors between them to help break up the fights, because you'd have these room matches and then you'd be fighting through these long corridors, and you can sort of see it with this level here, how it's all like room, long corridor, more rooms, more long corridors.
Yeah, they've done a decent job of distinguishing the different planets at least. So you can certainly see a difference between your last level and this one.
Very true. Now I was thinking about going back there with the fusion cannon and doing its blow-through, or using its blow-through ability to just do mean things to the enemies there, but I just, no, it's not worth it. I've only got 47 shields. The fusion cannon requires some precise aiming in tight corridors. It's just not worth it.
Given that's near the spawn, you'll probably have a chance to get back to it anyway.
Yeah. Especially now that I'm down to 27 shields. Oh, there we go.
Speak of. And now you have to deal with them.
Yep.
I suppose that's a thought that they force on you as well, is whether you want to try and clear out the spawn so that you have a bit of an easier time after you die.
But it also depends on, like, where the spawning triggers are, if you can clear them out safely or not.
Yeah.
Because at the time of this recording, I'm actually doing practicing for the second special secret level, and there are spawn points for multiple enemies in a room, like points where if you travel through, it triggers the spawners in the room, but those points are also the doors to get into the room.
Yeah, so you don't really want to transit through it if you can avoid it.
And it's just a case of me trying to figure out the best way to deal with that to make it look good for, the LP. Alright. And here we go. And some days just throwing concussion missiles downrange is the best solution to all of life's problems. Except when throwing homing missiles downrange is even a better solution.
Certainly faster than a mega missile, plus they outrange most of the enemies.
I suppose that's something to be said for about this game, is that the player has a much longer option for range than the enemy AI does. Except that it's so rare to be able to actually pull that off properly.
Yeah, because a lot of the corridors twist to avoid you having a long shot at someone.
Yeah, it's a twist designed to avoid, oh my god, I can't believe I haven't come to this way yet. Like, the twists also help with the draw distance.
Yeah, because this is on build engine, wasn't it?
I don't think it was the build engine.
Or something similar, where it's based around rendering chunks of the level based on your sight.
Oh, I gotta watch my energy usage here because I'm down to 30 energy.
Yeah, it's no good having all the shields in the world if you can't shoot anything.
Well, that's why you have the Vulcan cannon, so... you have the emergency, I still need to attack button. I mean, I gotta admit, it's kind of nice about this game that the basic weapon you get, in this case, the lasers, it's the best in the general, and it's your second weapon that's considered your, emergency backup.
Yeah, a lot of games go the opposite direction where as soon as you get something new, you stop using your original weapon.
Yeah, and even then, it's like only when you get to the end game do you start having enough options that do different things. Like, the difference between the sniper rifle and the rocket launcher being a different thing. But, I just realized that in this game, the fusion cannon is the equivalent of the rocket launcher. Big, huge damage. It can hit multiple enemies.
That's even considering you have a couple of actual rockets.
Yeah. Just showing off most of the map so far and how it loops back and doubles over each other and me just plotting my way to where I need to go. Because I need to get to the energy power-up, or the energy corridor, so that I can top back off, because 44 energy is not going to cut it.
Still got 10,000 Vulcan rounds you haven't used in a while.
Yeah. But as I said, the Vulcan cannon is an emergency gun, and this doesn't quite qualify as an emergency yet.
One of the things this level does really well is having identifiable areas. It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's very... You can always tell where the energy power-up is, because those are yellow on the map. The enemy spawners are purple. The doors are green.
Yeah, and you also have things like your honeycombed starting area and then this organic sort of shape of the corridors you're in now. Then you end up in some boxy sections on the far side of the level.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it, these are actually some very smooth curves coming out of this engine in this time. Compared to, a lot of games where they tend to focus very much on the hard geometric shapes because they're easy to render.
Yeah.
And easy to control. I mean, just having these slight twisty curves that break line of sight, that do that sort of thing, it's nice to see. There we go. Paranoia intensifying.
It's a new area you haven't cleared out yet, so it's worth being cautious.
Very true. Even though I know what's coming, it's a case of, yeah, I know there are enemies around here, but because it's still technically the same room, the actual enemy placement can be different.
Still kind of half expecting you to rush out and grab the key and rush back.
Nah, it's just a couple of concussion missile hulks. I mean, those guys, I don't need to worry too much about them. It's just a case of, pick the fight where I can and make sure I, have the better control of line of sight. And also this room. Seriously, like, how many times have I seen this exact layout of room, this 3x3x3 cube with the entrance in the center of one wall, the key on the other side of the entrance, and the two secret doors? How many times have I seen this in this game? Because I swear I saw this all the way back in the first level.
It's one of those things where it could be technological reasons for recycling geometry, or just they figured it would be familiar.
True. And you know, just that. Ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, that was a good dodge.
But it's also a case of, like, you know, maybe it's one of those things where the level designers copy and pasted a room from a previous level because, hey, it works. Players know what to expect.
Yeah. Something that simple, you'd have to wonder if that was really the intent. But especially with some of these larger rooms, like the one you're coming into now is very similar layout to what you've seen previously.
Just checking my 6, finding the exit. Oh, hey, yellow... Wait, where does this door connect to again? Crap, now I gotta backtrack. Because nice thing about open-ended level design is that there's no, like... You can have these cases where there's more than one way to get through a level. And... Oh, yeah, this... Oh, now I see. This is the door that comes out of the first room there, so if I, you know, die in the reactor, or die near the reactor, this is the quick way back here. But it's off to fight the reactor. No, seriously, why are there multiple red doors in a row like this? Like, you can't get to this red door here without going through a previous red door. What's the point of having 2 red doors?
Is it a double airlock design? Maybe they could be trying to keep that theme going.
Perhaps. Yep, there it is. There's the homing guy I was expecting. But once you dealt with that homing missile guy, this is actually a fairly easy reactor room because there's no enemy spawners and majority of the enemies are these little guys right here. So I can outrange them, outmaneuver them, and then blow the reactor at my own convenience.
They give you a decent amount of space to play with this time.
And wow, I'm actually ending this level with 130 shields. That's weird coming out over 100. But a nice short little brisk run to the exit. And that's that.
Well done.
Thank you, Efafada, for coming and commenting again. And I do apologize for not being able to talk a lot. It was just a case of